So we generally work mostly with solo and small firms. And the reason for that is partly practical because enterprise is such a long sales cycle. And we also recognize that so many people are going for those, higher value contracts as SaaS companies that we wanted to be able to service the solo and small firms and provide the solution that is just as robust as an enterprise solution, but have it be at a price range that someone who's a solo or a small firm could afford.
At Green Cardigan Marketing, we are always looking ahead to what's next in the legal industry. Since the beginning of time, lawyers have grappled with the core challenge of how do I grow? How do I take on more clients? How do I expand our services, yet increase our profitability, lower our overhead? It's always been a big question. It's always been a problem. This question, I would imagine, is keeping many of you up at night. However, we have the AI boom in technology here with us today, and there is no better time in the legal industry to increase profitability, increase efficiency than now with technology. So today we are diving into this very question with a groundbreaking company, Gavel.io. I first learned of Gavel through one of our more tech-savvy, business-savvy clients, a estate planning firm who is using Gavel, and she's leveraging AI in all aspects of her firm, and specifically with scaling efficiently and increasing her profit margins by utilizing technology as well. Gavel is at the forefront of the AI revolution with the legal sector, empowering attorneys to automate their most time-consuming tasks and transform how they deliver legal services. If you're a lawyer and you're not just looking to survive, but thrive in this digital world, stay tuned. This episode is for you. My conversation with the team from Gavel.io will open your eyes to how AI and technology can be your greatest ally in building a more efficient and more profitable law firm. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this conversation with Gavel.io. Brittany, how are you? Thanks for joining me today.
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Tell everybody who you are, what do you do? We'll go from there.
Great. So I'm a lawyer based in California. I'm also the legal innovation ambassador for Gavel, which is a legal tech company that focuses on document automation for lawyers. So excited to share about Gavel Workflows, which is our document automation piece, and then Gavel Exec, which is more of an AI assistant that you can use directly within Word, which can go through and review, Redline, and help you negotiate your contracts much more efficiently.
Cool. So you're a lawyer by trade and now doing this with Gavel. What is the journey to lead you to that? And do you still practice?
Yeah. So I don't still practice in the sense of taking on legal clients or matters, but my journey was that after I graduated from law school, I took this incubator class through my law school for people who wanted to be solos and small firms. So they gave me access to a course called Passport to Practice, as well as one called Legal Tech Essentials. And through that, I got to meet Dorna Moini, who is the founder of Gavel. At the time, it was called Documate. And she put on a hackathon competition where she gave all of the students an account. And we got to try to build something that would be useful for access to justice. So how can we address, basically the prompt was, how can we address an access to justice issue using technology, and specifically this technology? So I created an app called Workers' Comp Angel with my partner on the project. And it was essentially a way for workers to apply for workers' compensation during COVID if they were affected by the pandemic. So from that, I got really excited about legal technology, wondered why we didn't learn this in law school, at least not at my law school at the time, and ended up going and getting a master's degree in international film business because I was focused more on copyright and trademark law, film rights. And so from there, I did my dissertation by creating an app that would allow lawyers to connect with film students and early career filmmakers and service them in a way that was kind of a unique business model. So it just kind of really got me onto this trajectory of legal tech as a career and how we can utilize legal technology to better serve our clients at scale versus going into the more traditional model, which I already saw as outdated in 2020. So now we're in 2025, and it's even more outdated with all of the different AI companies that are, and different AI layers that are coming out on top of our legal tech tools.
Yeah, I would unfortunately agree. It is an outdated model, and so happy to see so many AI and technology companies really entering the marketplace. for those leaning into it, you can see the how they're expressing themselves and the freedom and their profit margins, more importantly, are increasing. Tell us how Gavel can help a firm. And then the second part to that question, and I know that's such a loaded question, right? But maybe what are some top ways that Gavel can help a law firm? And are there ideal practice areas that you all see Gavel helping?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually going to answer the second question first, which is that there are some ideal practice areas. So for example, we have two different products, which are Gavel Workflows, which is, like I said, the document automation piece, and then Gavel Exec, which is more on the review, redline, and negotiation side. And so for the Gavel Workflows piece, that generally is best for transactional attorneys in practice areas such as estate planning, family law, corporate, bankruptcy, employment, immigration, that kind of stuff. So on that side, there is kind of a general idea that if you're using documents a lot and you don't want to have to retype everything and re-enter data that you already have stored somewhere, and you want to be able to have your clients enter information and then reuse that information, then Gavel Workflows would be a great solution for you. It just makes it to where you're not having to retype and you talked about in our separate conversation, we talked about CRMs. So if you store your data in Clio Manage, for example, if you store your data in HubSpot or MyCase or Locus or wherever else, Decision Vault, how can we grab that information and populate your documents with tons of custom conditional logic for your custom templates? So that's the kind of the differentiating factor for Gavel in the market, is that you're able to automate your own custom templates and you don't have to use our templates that we have. You can use your own templates that you've developed over 40 years of practicing law. The other piece is Gavel Exec, which is a little bit more on the side of people who have to work within documents and negotiate and redline them. So it can be less on the side of templating and more on the side of reviewing, negotiating, and making sure that different parts of it's a kind of a conversation or collaboration with the AI assistant in Word, where let's say you have a document that is a sales agreement of some kind, and you had a letter of intent that you had signed and you want to be able to have, or that the client has signed, and you want to be able to check this document against that one and make any red lines or changes along the way. Then what that allows you to do is grab any additional, relevant context documents, drop them into the system and say, check against that document and tell me if there's anything in this 50-page document that I need to point out and look at that differs. And what would you recommend as a red line for those? And then you can just apply that change. So that's a little bit that's more for things like real estate, transactional real estate law, corporate law, things like that.
Okay. So there's many solutions that you all offer that could fill the void for many different practice areas.
Right.
What is that size firm? I don't know if that's the number of employees, it's gross revenue, who really feel like you all feel like they fit perfectly within your platform. What is that?
So we generally work mostly with solo and small firms, let's say under 50 attorneys. And the reason for that is partly practical, because enterprise is such a long sales cycle. And we also recognize that so many people are going for those, higher value contracts as SaaS companies, that we wanted to be able to service the solo and small firms and provide the solution that is just as robust as an enterprise solution, but have it be at a price range that someone who's a solo or a small firm could afford.
Okay. And then, so you're working with a small law firm, the people who have no time, right? They're stretched, they're doing millions of different things. How difficult is it to set up your system within the firm? Do you have people who can help implement that? What does that look like?
Yeah, really good question. So there's kind of two parts to that, which is you do have the ability to build it yourself if you want to. All of the different pieces of the puzzle are there. All of the different tools, there's nothing that you would need to have some kind of specialized thing in order to implement. So a lot of our clients do like to do it because they like to be involved in that process, and the tools are there for you. It does get a little bit more complex if you have very complex documents, like you have even one line of a sentence could have 100 variations. So once you start to get a little bit more complex like that, then you might need a little bit of support or help. So the first step would be to either just reach out to us as the Gavel team in order to help you. And we can do a screen share and go through your document and help you on that side. But if you're like, I just don't want to touch it at all. I've had a conversation with someone just earlier today where I was showing them how they can do it. And then I was saying, but if you don't have time, you can always delegate this. So we do have Gavel experts, some that are, Gavel Gold certified, or some that are, maybe not necessarily certified, but they are, willing and able to help you, and then you can hire that out. So it is something that you can delegate out to a Gavel expert if you wish. And you can just go to gavel.io and it will be under the Hire an Automator page, so you can see who is there.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Brittany. That's something that within my own business and our technologies that we've used, I have found I can really squeeze every drop out of that lemon if I will utilize someone who can help me implement it. What I have found, if anyone, maybe this recipe will help people, the recipe I found is to learn about the platform. I don't need to know everything. I'm over here trying to run a business and manage a dozen employees and clients. I'm like a chicken with my head cut off, say in Alabama. But if I can learn a decent amount of its capabilities, the next part of my little recipe is then go to some decision makers within my team. What would you like to see it do? They often know the technology way better than you do. Then go to that expert and say, I don't necessarily want you to tell me the limitations. I just want to tell you my dreams and visions of it, and let them walk me back from there.
I love that.
It seems to have been a good recipe for me. As business owners, it's hard for me once you start putting restrictions. I think what happens is we start speaking in such fragmented components, and it would be better. I have found it's better for my Monday.com expert, for example, if he can just say, hey, tell me what you want it to do within certain parameters. So that's been a good recipe for me. So maybe that'll help someone else out there is learn just enough and then go to someone who can help implement it. The money is going to be worth it every day of the week. And if you don't think it is, question yourself, what is your billable hourly rate? And then see if it makes sense.
Right. Absolutely. And some people, like I mentioned, we do have our DIYers who are our power users who absolutely are working attorneys. They just like it. They just like getting to work in the logic and getting to figure it out by themselves. And it's not necessarily for them a cost saving, because it probably isn't. Because like you said, if you multiply out your billable hour by the time that you're spending. But to kind of more fully answer your question, we also have created different pieces to help you get to ROI faster. So for example, we do have pre-built workflows that you can use and have added to your workflows for different jurisdictions. So similar to something where you already have like the questions built out and the template built out that we had a Gavel expert build out for us. But this will also allow you to have it added to your account, and then you can edit it from there to make it more custom to you. The other piece is that we have something called Gavel Blueprint for our workflows feature, which is essentially an AI powered feature that allows you to drop your documents into the system. That could be PDF or Word documents. It's going to look for the areas that repeat, suggest and create questions and variables for you, and then insert those into your documents, and then attach those documents to your workflow automatically. So it does make it to where that process is a lot faster. A lot of the time, the time-consuming part can come down to the logic. So really complex logic. And then also, if you're trying to connect your system or your Gavel account to a data source that's outside of Gavel.
Okay. Yeah, that's super helpful. The pre-built workflows is a game changer.
Yeah.
Brittany, how can people contact you, get a hold of you, and where can they find more information about Gavel?
Yeah, absolutely. For more information about Gavel, you can go to gavel.io. For reaching out to me, you can reach out to me at Britney@gavel.io or connect with me on LinkedIn.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time, Brittany. I enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Bye, everyone.